All right, everyone, we've got to have a serious discussion today. I'm going to break some of your hearts here this afternoon with a little bit of the information that we're going to talk about here today. We've got to have a discussion about realistic price targets for our favorite crypto miners. Now, of course, as usual, this is not financial advice nor a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any assets whatsoever. So let's look at Bitfarms specifically. So Bitfarms actually came out with some bad earnings in the pre-market on Thursday. They missed their earnings by 590% for earnings per share, and they actually made revenue 7% more than expected. All right, so that caused this tank in the morning that we slightly started to recover from into the next day, and we're having an okay day. And then on Friday, after market close, they came out with this little gem right here. Bitfarms announces a $375 million at-the-market equity offering program. Currently, their market cap is let me go over here. The current market cap is 0.89 billion or $890 million. So if we do some simple math, which I've already got brought up here, they are going to dilute the market cap by 42%. That's what they're intending to do here. So their current shares outstanding are 273,907,000. So they're going to add 42% more. So we're going to come in here, do a little math real quick, times by 273,907,000. They're going to add another 115 million shares to this bucket. Now let's see what the overall amount will be. 273,907, 1, 2, 3, 389 million shares is what they have proposed that they will be able to dilute the stock by. Now, this doesn't mean that they are going to dilute us by $375 million all at once. Let me bring up Gemini here to explain it to us very, very quickly and briefly, which is one of the reasons I really like Gemini. You can ask it all sorts of questions like this, like what is that SEC filing? What does at the market equity offering program mean? Things like that. I love Gemini, it's great. Anyways, and it sums it up beautifully. All right, anyways. The offering program is a method for publicly traded companies to raise capital by selling new shares into the existing stock market over time. So they are allowed to share it whenever they choose, depending on market conditions. So that means that they don't need to dump it all at once. They can dump it when they want. They are sold at the current market price versus whatever the market price may be now or in the future. So if they see it spike up to $5 tomorrow, they might dilute pretty hard into that buying frenzy. Like if they see a nice rip on the day, they might be diluting into that near the top of it or as it is crawling up. So it's more of a drip of shares versus a full-on dump. However, that does mean for us to get back to previous all-time highs, which was in November 2021, where they had a $1.53 billion market cap. For us to get back to that, we need now to have 42% more market cap to get there if they dilute all of these shares. I do suspect that they may have done about 10% already based on this drop here after the news. So after the news came out, Bitfarms in after hours dropped approximately a total of 13.48%. 2% of that got bought up by the end of after hours on Friday. So I'm thinking they probably did about 10% of that right away, possibly. Of course, this is all speculation. I have no way of confirming that at this time until the new amount of outstanding shares is reported. So I currently don't have that information, but based off of this drop, I'm suspecting they may have diluted by, upwards of 10%, and then there's another 3 to 4% of selling pressure from people seeing it drop, the price drop in after hours, and then it eventually recovered and settled around 11.5% down in the after hours. So this is now limiting us a bit in our ability to get future growth. Let me go to the one-day chart here and let's have a look at what that looks like. So currently we're down. Right now we ended the day about 137, 38-ish. We dropped significantly in the after hours. We settled down near the bottom of this downward channel, actually, which means we might see a little bit of a bounce. Maybe if my TA holds up, we'll see. But the previous all-time high, let me turn this to the weekly, actually. The previous all-time high is back here, November 2021. Okay, it was actually back here, but that's a wick. I'm not counting that right now. Was back in November 2021. They had $1.5 billion market cap at $9.38. Right now, if we achieve that same market cap, we will be significantly lower than that because they had less shares back then, actually. Let's see how many shares they had at that time. I'm a little bit all over the place right now. I'm sorry. Let's see. Okay, it was, let's go with 170 million. So they had 100 million less shares at that all-time high than we currently have right now, and they're planning to add another 100 million shares to it, 100 million shares plus to this pool. So that's not quite double they had before. It was more like 60% or so. So we need to see a market cap closer to 60% higher than $1.5 billion to get back to $9. Now, how much would that be? 1.5, we're just going to go times by 1.06. No, 0.6, 60%, not 6%. So they need $2.4 billion in market cap to get us back to $9.41. Now, they only had a hash rate in the range of like 4 or 5 or something when they reach this market cap. They're planning this time around to have a hash rate of upwards of 21. They're planning to be about 12 by the end of this year, 17 by the end, and 21 by the end of 2025. They're planning to have about 21 exahash. Now, I think that we might be seeing some tops in the market in 2024, given how the cycle seems to have been shifted to the left a little bit this time around. So keep an eye out for that. Keep your eye on the Pi cycle top indicator for Bitcoin. There's another video I'm going to make here this weekend as well, talking about a specific indicator I'm going to be watching to see, to kind of seek out tops that I discovered the other day. I don't have time in this video, but I will make it very soon. Anyways, they're going to be having a minimum of 3 times the amount of hash rate that they had when they achieved that all-time high, that $1.5 billion market cap. Now, hopefully that translates to 3 times the market cap, right? So if we got 3 times the market cap, we would be looking at about 45. 4.5 probably. So we'd be looking at about $4.5 billion potentially in market cap. So if a 2.4 got us back to $10, a 4.5 would get us somewhere in the high teens, right? I'm not going to do all that math, but somewhere in the high teens, right? So that would set us somewhere. I'm going to put a line right here. You know, I'm going to set it about 15, like 73. Let's set it right there. I'm just going to leave that there for the next year or so and see if we get back up to there. This is where I'm saying I think that might be somewhere where I am comfortable taking out a lot of my Bit Farms shares and selling them. That's what I'm thinking. Now, I am expecting that if they achieve this previous high here around $9, I do fully expect the remainder of this dilution they've allocated to themselves to be dumped into the market there. And we might see something real spooky and scary, kind of like right back here when it got up to, let's say, 737, or even right here, got up to 852. We got this huge wick, and it just like dumped it all the way down from 752 to 290. Can you imagine how demoralizing that would be? You're at 852 down to 290 in a matter of like a couple of weeks. Oh, that would hurt. Let's see what that looked like on the daily, actually. I want to see what that looked like on the daily. All right, on the daily, how many days did it take for it to get to its bottom there? Not very many. So we were 852 up here, and 1, 2, 3, 4 days. We were all the way down to by 50%. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days. We were down by like 60, 65%. I could tell you right now, I'd be properly demoralized if my stock went from 855 down to 267 in less than 2 weeks. I bet you that's where they did a lot of their dilution, was right in there. Now, how can we use this to our advantage? How can we use this knowledge to our advantage in the next cycle here with Bit Farms? Let's have a look-see. So we got 10% drop right now, right? Whoops. with another potential 30% loaded in the chamber waiting to come get us. If I could stop doing that, that'd be great. So I'm thinking something like this, right? So right now, and I think it was actually not the most strategic time for them to do that. I mean, I guess maybe they announced it when it was low, and maybe they didn't actually do any dilution, and they're letting us forget that they have that, that round chamber just to snipe us out here at one of these peaks. And when we get back up to here, then they'll start diluting. Maybe that was all just panic. Of course, this is all speculation, so take it all with a grain of salt. None of this is full fact other than the news that they had done this and how many shares outstanding they have and what their market cap is. Everything else I'm saying is purely a what if scenario sort of thing going on right now in my mind. I'm trying to get out onto a video and like explain my thought process, and perhaps it makes sense. And if it doesn't make sense, let me know, because I want to know if I'm making any sense. Anyways, how can we play this to our advantage? So let me get on the weekly again. Well, actually, I don't even need to get on the weekly. So if we get to a peak again, like let's say we make a new higher high on top of this 391, maybe we come up to the underside of this box here that I've been waiting for a while to get up to. This like 420-ish mark. How poetic. Uh, and we get a nice big wick like we have on Friday, on that day after close, on that close. If we get a nice big wick like that Friday, after making a new high coming up to the bottom here, and then it starts selling off a bit in after hours, maybe dramatically. Maybe it starts very dramatically here on this wick. How dramatically was it on that day? Yeah, right in the morning, we had a peak of 286 and then just shoo immediately down to 274. Anyways, I'll probably sell. I'll probably sell a large amount of my shares with the thought that market is peaking. They've got $375 million of ammunition to throw at me on the way down to create another big valley. I mean, look at the last two run-ups. We had one run-up that went up from under $1 all the way up to 356 and then immediately dove down to 192 to be followed up by another even higher drive up to 371, then to almost $4 before being dropped down to nearly $2. And I expect this to probably hit $2 and stay here for a week or so. But anyways, that's what I'm kind of expecting. I'm expecting this stair step up here, right? And then they're going to do a big dilution, maybe not even that big a one. All they really need to do is drop it by 10%, and the retailers, the retail investors like us will do the rest of the work bringing it down, because we'll get scared. Maybe come back to the bottom of this channel here around 330 or so from a 420, maybe even lower to like $3 immediately. And then I'd probably start accumulating again. So I think right around here, right around 420, that might be a spot where I don't take all profit, but maybe like a 25% with the plan of loading back up around 320 to $3 range, perhaps. I feel like that makes sense. I mean, because if I had done that both times back here, and I did it this first one, I sold into all this buying pressure here. Like I bought at 90 some odd cents. And as soon as it got to this peak and started selling off again, I just started selling shares into this. I sold like half or so, and then I picked them up again about $1.50 actually. My cost basis I think is actually still like $1.50. Let me take a look real quick. I'll confirm that really, really fast here, because I can just quickly look at it here on my phone while I'm recording. Let's see here. Phone. Let's see here. Yeah, 153. So I sold enough. I sold kind of honestly all my expensive shares going up here, and then down here I started buying more again, and my cost basis was under $1. Now it's about $1.50. I didn't do any selling on this round, which in retrospect I should have. I really should have, but I didn't. So I held it all the way back up and then all the way back down again, right? I think next time I'll probably get in on this up down sort of all around action here on Bitfarms on the way up. So I think that we could potentially come down a little bit more, maybe around $2. This could have been the bottom. If we get a gap up and go on Monday, which I don't expect, but if we do, then everything I just said is wrong, and we're going to move up before we get diluted back down. Okay, so I'm expecting something similar to like what happened tomorrow last week with Bitfarms. This is what my thought right now. So they got diluted. They announced 25% dilution, only 25%. It's his change. But they got that around the 28th, right? And they had Thursday, Friday selling. They had a little bit. They had about a week and a half of selling pressure before they got a nice bounce on Friday this week. So I'm expecting for Bitfarms to probably follow a similar pathway where we get another, let's see, where is our current drop off at? Okay, let's see here. I want to say this is going to drop about 27% from the after hours, right? I want to say it's probably going to give us another let's say about 25%, right? I'm going to try to get it real close. That'll take us to $2. So if we drop 25%, which is about what Marathon dropped, actually Marathon dropped more than that. I have the shares in my Webull to show how much those are still down. I think it's like 27%. So, and it was down further before. That's after recovery. That's about $2. Matches up exactly with what I am thinking here, about a $2-ish bounce, and then up we go. Just like last time, where we saw that come all the way down to $1. And it crashed just slightly under $1 for a couple of days, and then shoo, and then took on off up again. I think this time we might see a dip down to that $2 range and then kind of take off again on Bitfarms. Now, like I said, that does limit our upside potential. I was thinking Bitfarms had potential to get into the low 20s, maybe even mid 20s before all this dilution came out. My new thought, if Bitfarms can execute on achieving its hash rate goals, if Bitfarms can stay efficient with their mining operation, if they do not dilute further than they have already diluted, or plan to dilute, excuse me, then my upside target is in the teens. Like that's where I'm thinking we might see our ultimate resting place after a lot of volatility. Like we're going to do a lot of 30, 40, sometimes maybe even 50% swings before we get there. And I'm telling you, this previous all-time high of 10, which was a wick, by the way. Let's go back here. This all-time here of 934, because that's the one that actually held for more than 10 seconds. This one, this is going to be some real intense resistance there. We might even come off of that. We might even come off of that and drop down to like $7 or even $6 before charging on up through it again, because we got to build that liquidity. Now, the thing that's scary is like this right here, this move, I'll show you. This move right here, this would have faked me out, because I would have thought that that was the flag, right? And then this little move would have been like, yeah, it's going to go back up. But then it was a fake out and it just dropped from there. Of course, that was in November 2021, which was after the peak of Bitcoin, right? If you know the cycle, after November of the year after the halving, that is when everything is going to zero, basically. Okay, it's not going to go to zero, but you get my here. You're going to lose basically everything you've been working to gain. But if it were any other time during this cycle, I would have been like, yeah, that's going to launch up as soon as it breaks that line. But it was November 2021, so I'd be like, oh, everybody run! That's the idea there. Kind of like here, right? This would have been a super scary moment to hold, but it came even higher. So it's all mind games. It's all scary. Honestly, anywhere up around the sevens, you're killing it. You're doing great. I mean, even if you get in, if you were in now, or even at these peaks here, right, at 350 or almost $4, if it goes back up to $7, I mean, you're sitting pretty with an over 100% gain. Pat yourself on the back. You did it. Um, if you're getting in like now and you see a return up to $7, you really did it. I mean, that's a 3x. You're killing it. So like, let's not get too obsessed with like, oh man, it's gonna go to $20 and I want to sell it at $20. Like, we just watch the price action, sell it when it tells you there's a peak in. I bet you on the 1 week we probably saw, yeah, yep. We saw it both times, both times. This is what I want you to watch out for. This is exactly what I want you to watch out for. Let me get rid of this for a second. And actually, you know what? Let me just hide all the drawings. Let me hide all the drawings. Okay, this is exactly what I want you to be looking out for in the future, to know that the top came in. This candle, I can't do drawings without really showing all of them. Okay, the candle on February 26th. If you're watching in your car and you can't look at the video right now, get on a chart whenever you get the chance and look at February 26th on the weekly chart. A 1 week chart, February 26th. Look at that candle. That was the signal to get the hell out. Over here, December 26th, 2023. Again, the weekly candle. Look at that candle, that gigantic wick on top. That was a signal to get the hell out. Now, we did open up huge the next day on that Monday, but there's no guarantee that's going to happen. I mean, on this candle, we didn't happen. We opened up lower. I mean, on this candle, we went slightly higher than the previous candles and then phew, fell right down. I mean, you would have lost. You would have missed out from the upside. You would have missed out on, if you held it till close, actually, until the next day, you would have missed out on 23% of potential profit just by holding to the next day. Now, the psychology behind this is that you as a retail trader believe that price is going to go back up to this peak at the top of this wick. That's the psychology. That's what they're betting on you to bet on. And when the run is really over, when it's really truly over, that doesn't happen. You see this big drop down here, just like we're seeing right now. We're seeing a drop down here to about like $2 or so, probably. Keep that in mind. Like, this is a game to take your money and put it in their pocket, and you are the liquidity in these instances for the most part. Now, I don't think that we're over yet right now. I do think that we're just getting into the cycle. We're just getting into the bull cycle. There is a lot of upside still left to run. But in the future, like let's say it's December 2024, Bitcoin's at $180,000, creeping up to $200,000. And you see a candle like we saw, a weekly candle like we saw on February 26th or on December 26th, 2023. If you see a candle that looks like that, I want you to take a look at your portfolio. I want you to think about how high up you are in relation to what you bought those shares at. Are you up a few 100%? Is it greedy to wait for more? Could this be the top? Now, of course, this is not financial advice nor a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any asset whatsoever. Simply asking you to reflect on your decisions and think about what these candles mean when you see them. Like when you spot it, what does it mean? And is all your money going to get taken from you next week? Like here's another one. February 22nd, 2021. Big old thread, a big old wick, and then we dropped off like 50% from there. Big doji drop. A couple of big wicks. These ones were sneaky because they actually went up a little bit and then dropped. Real scary stuff. But these are like very similar, something like that. That's what I'm looking for to give me a signal. And I saw it last week. If you remember the video where I put the thumbnail, I was like, this is the ugliest candle I've ever seen. That was these candles. I should have sold out on that and bought back in now. That's what I should have done. I didn't because I was like, we're mid-cycle. We're still moving up. It's fine. It's probably not going to go that badly. And I could have doubled my shares from here to here, right? But 40%. So I could have increased my share count by 40% had I sold when I saw that wick. Now, actually, that's not true. That's not true. That's a lie. That's not true because I wouldn't have bought it up there. I would have got it after the wick. So I could have increased my share count by 20%. I could have 20% more shares if I had done it as soon as I saw that wick and was like, that's bad. This is getting a much longer than I anticipated, so I'm going to have to make a second video about market cap versus share count for a few other miners right now here after this. So you're actually going to see a couple of videos today. I'm just going to keep this one to specifically Bitfarms. Anyways, with that said, please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a profitable day.